Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. My name is Glen and today we're going to look at 10 of the games coming out on the Nintendo Switch in this coming week. With only a couple of bigger releases this week, it does at first glance look average at best, but to be fair, having just looked through a few of the indie games coming out, a couple of them at least look very decent. So with all that said, let's have a look at 10 games coming out this week. First up then, coming out on the 24th of March, we have Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. This is actually based on a tabletop role-playing game series, Vampire the Masquerade, although this particular game, as far as I can ascertain, doesn't include any tabletop elements. It appears to be more of an adventure game, along the lines of a visual novel I suppose, but with elements taken from games like the Telltale games where you would have moral choices and dilemmas to overcome. The basic premise then is you play as a vampire and you need to balance your thirst for blood with the ethical issue you face of trying to keep your humanity, all the while trying not to reveal yourself as being a creature of the night. The narrative will branch out depending on the choices you make, and I really do enjoy games like this. This one actually sounds quite interesting. Now, it's been out on Steam for a few months I believe, and I think the reviews over there were relatively average, around about the 60 to 70% mark, but if this is a genre that you enjoy, it may be worth having a look at. Next game then is Deepsky Derelicts, which again releases on the 24th and comes in at £22.49 or €24.99. This is a tactical RPG, and there's actually a few tactical RPGs coming out this week. This is the only one I've picked for the list, just for the sake of variety, and I must say I do find the art style used quite intriguing, with them having gone for a comic book style look. It also includes tactical card combat and roguelike elements as well apparently, so there's quite a few different elements thrown in together there. Hopefully it won't become a jack of all trades. And this is the definitive edition of the game, which came out on Steam, again about a year ago now I think, and includes 2 DLC packs, New Prospects and Station Life.
A big thanks to the guys over at the studio that made Dragon Raja. It's very much like Final Fantasy, and I was blown away by the way it looks. It's crazy. I've got a crappy old Samsung Galaxy S8 and didn't expect much out of it if I'm honest, but this was really well done. Now it's an action RPG title, you've got all your different abilities and skills. The first thing that you're going to be thinking, as I was, is this one of those free to play games that forces you to buy content every time that you go on it? And the answer is no, it's actually not. You can play through a fully voice-acted story. It feels, as I say, a little bit like Final Fantasy Online if you've ever played that title on PC. I was more interested in playing the guitar. I'll pop a link down in the description so that if you're watching on your phone you can be like, hey, that looks alright, bink, play the guitar a bit and then, they'll know that we sent you there. I think it's 2nd or 3rd in the App Store, it's right up the top there, so go and have a look and let them know that SwitchUp sent you.
Next up then, and one that I think looks really interesting, is a game called Hyperspace Delivery Service. This one sees you captaining a ship and you will need to make all of the decisions, such as which trade routes to work, who to trade with, whether to search derelict space stations, and when to engage in battle as well. There looks to be some sort of item or resource management thrown in as well. I don't know how deep that goes, but considering it's only £8.99, this one really for me looks fantastic. Next one then, a cheap and cheerful puzzle game, a game called Mecca Rama, which comes in at £4.49. It looks very much like something like Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, where you have a dioramic environment and you need to traverse it, trying to solve puzzles in order to get to a designated exit. You'll need to rotate the world in order to see everything, and there'll be a variety of lifts and platforms that you'll need to use in order to get to where you need to go. According to the blurb, there'll be times when you need to think outside the box in order to find the solutions, and again, it may be a game that some people roll their eyes at, but at £4.49, it looks like it could be a decent amount of fun. Next up then is a game called Wendy R, which is a 2D puzzle platformer where you need to overcome certain obstacles in order to get to the end of each stage. Again with a lovely art style and a quite interesting mechanic whereby you flip between two worlds, a mechanic that's been seen in other games before, but I always feel this is a mechanic that can add a lot to a game if it's done correctly. So there may be an obstacle in your way in one dimension and you'll need to switch to the other in order to get past, or your perspective may change, that sort of thing. It has a 20% discount until the 8th of April, so that's not bad at all, and again it's fairly cheap at £6.29. Next game, another one that I really think looks very good, is a game called Arrowfell Enhanced Edition. Now this is a role-playing game inspired by classics of old and I believe has been out on Steam for a while. Again, it does use a pixel art style, but when we talk about pixel art these days, these are the sort of games that I love to see. A game that takes pride in the pixel style it's using and creates something that looks quite beautiful. In some respects it reminds me quite a lot of a game like Secret of Mana or even Chrono Trigger in terms of the art style at least. Coming in at £16 or just over, so a little bit more than an impulse buy, but it's certainly one that I'll be keeping my eye on. Next up we have a fighting game called Kaos Code, New Sign of Catastrophe. Now this game has been out in one form or another for a few years. It was actually in the arcade I believe, where it was known as Chaos Code Sign of Catastrophe. It has a roster of 16 characters, has your classic arcade mode, a story mode as well, plus versus modes against another player or the computer. At a very decent price of £8.99, it might again be worth keeping an eye on. I've never played this one at all, so know absolutely nothing of it. Maybe if you have, you could just drop a line in the comments and let me know if it's any good. Coming towards the end of the week then, and on the 27th, you have some of the heavy hitters, with the first one being One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. This of course uses the characters from the popular anime show One Piece, but fuses it with gameplay based on the Warriors series of games, a few of which are already on the Switch. Obviously the Dynasty Warriors games, but also Fire Emblem and Hyrule Warriors of course. I think I'm right in saying that Pirate Warriors 3 is also on the Switch, and this fourth one will be joining it very soon. Next then, a game that's been out for a while elsewhere, but one I'm sure many people are happy to see coming to the Switch, and that's Saints Row 4 Re-Elected. This follows Saints Row the 3rd, which is already on the Switch, and it mentions on the eShop that if you already own that game, then you'll get 10% off of this one. The premise of this one is that you are the President of the United States, and you must save the Earth from an alien invasion. It has an open world setting like the third game, and I'm sure retains a lot of the humour and wacky weapons that you would have found in that game as well.
Yep, I did that.
Finally then for this week we've got Gigantasaurus the game. This is based on a children's TV show. I'll be honest, I didn't know that until I did a bit of research on this week's games, and this one includes the characters from that series, Rocky, Tiny, Mazu and Bill, as you attempt to solve various problems by way of puzzle solving, but it also has a racing element to it as well. Now we do have codes for this game, and we'll try to get something out even if it goes into one of our buy and avoid lists at some point. I do know that Mark's played a bit of this one with his daughter, and she has very much enjoyed it, so it looks as if it's got things right for its target audience at least, albeit based on very early impressions. So there's 10 games for this week. Not a bad week all being told. Like I said, only a couple of bigger games, but some of those indies do look really good, especially Hyperspace Delivery Service and Arrowfell for me. Will you be picking any of these up? Do they interest you at all? Please do let us know in the comments section below. A quick thank you to our patrons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Wherever you are, please do stay safe, and until next time, happy gaming.